cheers. We've done 30 episodes of Loop Nasty.
Cheers.
This is episode 31.
Yep, came a long way from that shitty little drone in Ozark. What was that one?
I bought a SEMA like X5.
That was the first time I'd ever seen a drone.
I think I got it $70 off Amazon. 2 days later, I'm flying it around.
Yeah.
Had a max altitude of probably 75 feet. You get up there, and next thing you know, like you just see one prop just stop spinning, and then next thing you know, it just starts tumbling. Had no power to regain anything. It was a great starter, bro.
Gear-driven props, like the motors didn't spin fast enough, so they upped the RPM by putting a big old gear in there.
Yeah.
That was pretty funny. So super responsive.
Yep. But no torque. And if you...
What was the next one? What did we get after that? Oh no, I bought a little... It wasn't FPV, it was just line of sight. Man, I forget what it was. A Proton? Something like that. Little, like, maybe twice the size of a tiny Whoop. I flew that around for a while.
Yeah, because I remember you were down visiting in Southwest Missouri. You flew that SEMA, and you went back to Kansas City and bought it like 2 days later.
Yeah, before I even flew back.
Like, to Colorado,
I was just like, I need one now. I had one down in Arkansas.
Yeah, because I remember you sent me a photo. I'm like, damn, he got into that quick. And then I didn't see...
I was like, holy shit. Well, I mean, I always loved the idea of flight. I was a little kid, every year I wanted a remote control airplane, a gas one. And of course, I never got it. Like Death Machine, I would have just destroyed it day one. That's what I did with my gas RC car. That was only 2-dimension.
No, I remember when you got that gas RC car, it was like 1 week later, we were already ramping it down your steep back hill.
Yeah, I had like a homemade roll cage I made for it.
Didn't we? Because we tried jumping it quite a good distance.
We drove it up the oak tree in my front yard, like 12 feet.
Oh, I remember that.
It. Whoa. Yeah, that's where the RC kind of started.
Started with that.
Yeah, you definitely started the drones.
And I grew up driving all sorts of little RC cars, but they were just battery-powered ones. My dad was a manager at Radio Shack, so we used to run around the mall after closing and drive around remote-controlled cars. When I was literally 7 years old, my brother was 5 years old, and we would just run around the mall. My dad would do inventory on some, a couple times a year, and he would take us along, and we would... Because, there's the ramps and the stairs as the mall kind of went up and down. If you remember the old... Springfield Mall.
Yeah, I do.
And that was my first go at it.
Around then, ripping drones through the mall.
Imagine being a 5-year-old and getting a drone for Christmas now.
Oh man,
there you go. It's a hell of a Christmas.
Yeah, Noble, my little brother, I handed him the controllers to my Gremlin, and he was flying it. No safe mode, no full acro.
Really,
not flipping or anything, but he was hovering it around.
Yeah.
Like he could land it in my hand, line of sight.
Really?
Yeah, he couldn't get a hang of the goggles, which for most cases it's reversed.
Mm-hmm. Did he? Yeah, so if he flew it
but he had to fly it backward. He couldn't fly it towards himself.
Yeah.
I still can't hardly fly a drone towards myself, line of sight.
Yeah, you kind of develop it. It just clicks one day in your brain where you can just kind of switch the thinking and...
Yeah, I mean, I could do it with the RC car. I don't know, maybe just that third dimension kind of...
Yeah, that's funny. My brother got that RC car, and we would drive it up the street last Christmas, and when I was driving it back at me, I kind of had a little bit of a weird sensation, because I hadn't done line of sight in a while, so watching it come back 30, 40 miles an hour.
But that's easy, too, because you just keep in your head, the steering wheel, left's always left, right's always right. Yeah. Same thing with the stick. Left is always left, right's always right. So you got to think in terms of the controller, not in terms of what you're seeing with the drone. You got to make that translation and keep it, translate it and flip it. And a lot easier with an RC car.
Yeah, and it takes practice like everything else. Like my brother had it down instantly. But it took him, I gave him the controls to the Tiny Whoop, and we're out in the park behind my house, and he has all that open space, and took a few batteries, but once you get it down, there's a little bit of a learning curve.
Is that line of sight? Or no, you did it with the goggles on?
So we did it the night before line of sight in the basement, so you could get the just get the feel of going up and down,
throttle control.
Tilt left, tilt right.
Yeah.
And
how the sticks do.
And then there's so much room in that back park area.
Yeah. So what did I got? You had the SEMA, I got the Proton, and then what was your next drone after that?
I didn't get my next drone was the Tiny Whoop. So you got that Q, or what was it? Remember we took that drone out to the school, and we ended up running into that other group, which was kind of how we got introduced to them.
Oh, yeah.
The real classic frame.
I kind of went around it completely backwards. My first ever homemade DIY actual race drone was a 5-inch. I went with the Lumineer. What was it? The X frame, the QX.
Yeah. No, it's a QAV, right? Or it was something like that.
Something.
Yeah.
Q and an X in there. Lumineer, look it up. It's but it doesn't have.
No, we got a video of it too. On the channel.
I got some videos of that with the green props on. But I got that, built that. I don't know why I picked that one out, because it wasn't the cheapest, but yeah, it was a good first drone. Still have it. Oh man, that was a lot of fun. I let you fly that a couple times, didn't I, Kyle?
Yeah, that was my first experience with a real drone. One that actually had power.
And you were flying the original Attitude goggles from Fat Sharks.
Yeah.
From Fat Shark. Those are some good goggles. They had the rubber eye cups.
Mm-hmm.
That would fit around your eyes. Those are good starter ones.
Yeah, so I flew that with you a few times, and then you had the Tiny Whoop as well during that time, and I had gotten a little bit better with that, and that's when I decided, when I ended up moving out here to Colorado, I said, one of the first things I'm going to do is buy and build a Tiny Whoop.
Right. Oh, no, I take that back. The QAV, the Lumineer one, wasn't my first one. My first one, of course, the OG, the ZMR 250. And it had the replaceable arms, had the super thin 2-layer carbon fiber that you sandwich the arms in between, and then had the top that was huge, a 250. And those Attitude goggles came with a giant camera with a permanently attached antenna to the VTX. It was like a package. It was made most for a fixed wing, because it had built-in. It came with the gyroscope, so you could mount it up to a camera, and if you looked left, the camera would turn left. It was on sale or something at Hobbytown, but that was my first one ever. The old school Naze 34 board. I had Afro ESCs 15 amp ESCs.
Wow.
Yeah, the thing weighed a ton, and I flew it. I built that way before I had the goggles. I flew that line of sight forever, way longer than I had a camera in it. I would just go up and down and then fly it back and forth, and then I finally got that goggles later on. That's when the FPV started.
Yeah, and
that's when I got a Tiny Whoop, and then it really started.
Yeah, and that was really fun for me playing with your Tiny Whoop. Was flying around your house, because it gave you just a perspective you never had. You're like, not only am I small, I'm flying, and I can go through chairs and over the fan blades.
It was almost like what you dream of.
And, I remember the first day in your house, because you kind of have those low ceilings, and I just kept basically maxing out my
like,
just over and over, and then once you get the hang of it, it's just
the throttle control's the hardest of those, and that was in the
for everybody.
That was like one of the original tiny. That was a homemade tiny whoop. I converted a what were they originally called? Oh damn! It feels like it was
the one that came with the yellow shell.
Yeah. What was that called? Some FPV.
It was one of the. It was made by
Inductrix FPV.
Well, Inductrix was the secondary brand. Tiny Whoop made that. I'm pretty sure the original yellow shell.
I turned mine into a Tiny Whoop. I bought the.
Gotcha.
It came with the camera, but then I converted the frame and everything. So it was the FPV version. It wasn't the original, just Inductrix with no camera.
Mm-hmm.
That's like the original one. But yeah.
And then I built my Tiny Whoop.
Yeah, totally from scratch.
I think with slightly faster motors, which then caused you to buy slightly faster motors. And then
what did we end up at? Like what are we running now?
The insane motors.
Like 20,000 kV.
No, they're 30.
30. Jeez, I remember when the 17s came out. I was like, whoa.
I don't know.
And now they're.
Don't quote me on the numbers there. No. It's been a minute.
What was after the Tiny Whoop? Oh, that's when we were waiting for the Gremlins. We like pre-ordered Gremlins when those came out, just because they were so affordable, and they're awesome. Those are great little drones, and that was our first real like dabble together into like building like a full like separate ESC flight controller, like a brushless build. That was our first brushless.
Because I hadn't built a drone other than the Tiny Whoop yet. And we were looking to do a 5-inch.
And that was all pretty much like toolless. All you needed was a Phillips.
Exactly. And for this, we were debating because you already had a couple bigger drones, a 5-inch, and we were debating doing another 5-inch. Yeah. But then we knew these Gremlins were coming out.
Yeah, and the small stuff is so much fun because that 5-inch is a blast and it hauls and you can feel the weight and you can really throw it around and it's a lot of fun. But I mean, it sounds like death. Even with like get some 2-bladed props in there and quiet it up a little bit. But I mean, it's just not as guerrilla tactics as our little 3-inch and these Gremlins, and now the Tiny Whoops with these crazy motors they're putting in them.
The Tiny Whoop makes special sauce motors.
Oh yeah, I had a set of those.
I think they're rainbow pony colored.
Oh wow.
And then we did the Gremlins, and then you upgraded almost immediately and got those really crazy brushless motors for the Gremlin.
Oh, were there like 10,000s?
And you could never get it stabilized very well after that.
I needed a good set of props. I needed to start balancing my props because they were spinning so outrageously fast that just the slightest little bit of imbalance in those props and the whole thing would just develop this wicked vibration. That's what it felt like. Yeah, the screen would just go jello. But holy shit, it accelerated.
And then immediately after that, the 3-inch craze took off, and we built. Well, I ended up going with the Sparrow, which the frame had just come out. It was 3 millimeters, extremely light, and it's extremely nice small.
Yeah, super inexpensive.
So hard to fit everything in. I ended up ordering 2 different connectors for the antenna. I think a couple at 45, one at 90, just trying to get it all to fit.
That's what it is.
But your Japalura
has a lot more room.
Yeah, a lot more.
But it's also a lot heavier. There's a lot more aluminum. Both of our frames have aluminum in it.
Go to the build video we did. We have all the specs, gram, the weights and everything per gram.
So the Sparrow is quite a bit lighter, but definitely a lot easier to cram everything in there. Well, the Sparrow, it was tight, but we were also putting a split in it.
Yes, that's
true. There's a whole nother board, and those boards aren't skinny, and you compare them next to these super tiny flight controllers that they're coming out with now.
And and who knows? Because we haven't really looked into building a 3-inch, but you could probably find a board that size. That
I mean, they're making
that could be
all-in-ones now.
Exactly. That's an all-in-one that
Yeah.
I would, if I were to build it again, I would probably get an all-in-one because
Did we do? We didn't do all-in-ones on those. Did we?
No.
No, yeah, we had the separate. No, we had 4-in-1 ESC. Yeah,
we did the
Was that
4-in-1
the 4-in-1
ESCs,
ESCs? Yeah.
not the all-in-ones.
that yeah.
Because
that's
for
where
the
you save all the
Gremlins,
space.
we actually did separate ESCs,
Yeah,
which turned
yeah.
out to be an absolute. Well, for
that
me,
was
was an absolute headache.
Yeah, that was before the 4-in-1s had really become reliable.
Exactly.
That was back when it was like, oh, I'm not getting one of those because if one burns out, which they inevitably did, you got to replace the whole board.
Mm-hmm.
Which, I mean, they were pretty cheap, but not compared to a single ESC. But the builds made it a lot harder. Just cramming them into that small space.
Yeah, and then, but for power to weight ratio, how much torque you have with the 3 inches, the Sparrow and the Jap Allura.
Yeah.
It's
Like my 5-inch will go faster, but I think the 3-inch will
Ooh.
get there sooner.
I don't know. I think I broke 100 miles an hour with my Sparrow. You think your 5-inch can do?
I think so.
Yeah,
I mean, those red bottoms I got on are still good. They're not new.
I believe.
But
Yeah.
they've those Emacs, they build them right.
So what's next? What do we build next? You want to do long
distance,
range?
Man, we gotta go long range.
Because we live in the Rockies,
Yeah.
we're right next to the Front Range.
I want to dabble in some long range fixed wing stuff too. Not
I would love to get into fixed wings.
and it's inexpensive. You gotta what Black Sheep's doing right now looks like.
But with all the new stuff coming out, you can fly these long range ones quite a distance. You can go up entire mountainsides and over and keep signal.
Yeah,
So-
and it's getting cheaper and cheaper.
There's a lot of potential.
I mean, TBS is leading the market in the long range, at least the affordable modular ones. You can stick in the back of your Tyrannus, but I think that's the way we got to go. But it's the debate if we want to go micro, or if we just want to spend a couple extra $100 and go the full size and get the full distance.
Mhm.
But then we'd have to build a whole new platform. Like, because it'd be sick to convert a 3-inch long range. I don't think they have the battery to really take advantage of.
Well, we get
the
4.5.
range.
We could get, if we're hauling ass, 4 minutes of battery life.
Yeah. They're
So
just
how
not
far
that
can-
efficient.
how far can we
3-inch
get?
props
Yeah.
spinning that fast?
Plus the
We need to
added
go.
weight.
We need to
of all
build
long.
like a 6-inch.
Yeah.
We need to go.
Oh,
we
we
need
have
to build
to.
a 6-inch platform. I think that's our next thing. Is long range. I think we should get some long range, a TBS module, the mini or the full size, whichever one. And then, but that's gonna suck because we won't be able to utilize it until we build a drone, because you could probably cram one of those mini transmitters on a drone on the 3-inch, but it'd be tight, and we wouldn't be able to take advantage of the full range.
Yeah.
So I think we should.
I mean, I think if we're
I
gonna
think
go,
we
if
should
we're gonna
just-
go
we should
long
just
range,
go all out.
yeah,
I mean,
if we're gonna go long
it's
range,
gonna be
we gotta
a
commit.
$500 investment. I think we could do it for $500, not including the module and everything.
We do
not
build our
including the
drones pretty
video.
cheap, so
Not including the video.
I think we can get it done for
I think we could.
$500.
Yeah.
We spent.
Well, because I got that. I still have the OG ZMR 250 platform, and those arms come off, so I could just get a longer arm. And they got all kinds of room.
I think
in
we
them.
could fit.
They
Yeah,
got all kinds
we
of
could fit
room
all of
in
it in that.
Yeah.
That might be because we already got that for frame.
Yeah.
I still have all your
but I mean, the
boards you
frames
took out
aren't
of that.
that crazy expensive. What's expensive? What's going to be expensive on that build is going to be the GPS. You got to. I mean, if we're going to go all out, if we're going to build a big 6-inch thing, I mean, we got to have.
We also have a few. Like, I don't know if it'd be worth. Like what? So, do we buy a new camera and put it on that drone, or do we use one of the 6, 7 we have?
No, we would. I would just get another split and put it on there.
Yeah.
Save weight, not have to.
It's
fly
not. Yeah, it's not worth taking. Yeah.
And there's a new one out now. I think I can't remember. Is there a new split out that's even lighter? Or the camera's a little better?
I think there's like this version.
The split, because we got the split 2.
We got the split 2,
split 2,
and there might be on like 2.1 or 3 maybe.
Yeah, I forget what the. I think maybe like the SD storage is a little different. Can't remember.
Yeah, and I think it has a slightly better, chip in it, so it's able to process. Because they claim they can do like 1080 60p, which is quite a bit. I mean, for how small they are, it's a tiny little chip. So I think they've just improved a little bit on the entire design and the components of it.
Dude, it's just an update.
But with the amount of with the amount of room we have in that 5-inch, we could go with the bigger camera too. Well, cool. We'll start working on this long range project. We've been doing some research for a few months now, and we're happy for all the subscribers and views we've got. We're gonna keep making videos and kind of going to some fun spots and shooting some videos. So keep coming back, and we'll see what we can come up with.